Welcome back to this episode of CTLA4 Chronicles. Today's episode's on.
The Diagnostic Odyssey of Zebras. But first, what is a zebra? A zebra is an uncommon or rare disease that is very difficult to diagnose.
A little history lesson here of what happened. Dr. Woodward in 1947. And when you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. This became a medical and general problem-solving principle that advises finding the most common and probable causes for a situation before focusing on anything that is rare or exotic.
That leads us into the second part, which is what is a diagnostic odyssey? It is a long, unpredictable, and often frustrating journey that one takes to get an accurate diagnosis for a rare or undiagnosed condition.
This can take on average anywhere from 5 to 6 years and between 3 to 7 doctors, but often a lot more to get an accurate diagnosis of what's going on.
Yeah, I can say that we've definitely had more than 7, probably closer to like 17.
Yeah.
And during this odyssey, you have misdiagnosis, medical gaslighting, lack of knowledge from medical providers, physical, emotional, and financial burdens, which are unfortunately pretty common for like the patient and their family.
Yeah. So a lot of this tends to lead to medical burnout, which is a really big important piece of this, because it's the worsening of like the emotional and physical symptoms going on between how one perceives himself and what's going on and their mental state. Also the physical symptoms, because sometimes you start questioning yourself about what's going on.
How many times did I do that? And I'd be in a flare or something. I'd feel awful and like I was dying. And then as soon as I turn the corner, I'm like, maybe I was making that up.
Also, it leads to not trusting the doctors or wanting to be the guinea pig. You find yourself just hesitant to constantly go in and have them guessing and doing another procedure. Something else is just not what you were looking for, and often unnecessary because they're just guessing and going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, which is frustrating. And with this medical burnout, you also end up with crippling symptoms or people who are dealing with crippling symptoms in silence, which can, in some cases, lead to death. And then desperation, which can lead to unsafe practices, like not taking medication as prescribed or trying to seek things outside of your current medical team, which is fine to look for answers and stuff, but it's when people go to the extremes of that. And I mean, I was there
avoiding them.
Yeah, I was there before transplant where I was questioning whether the medication was making me worse or not. And I actually talked to my doctors about stopping my medication and strongly advised not to do that.
Yeah, some examples just besides the ones we have in our own life that we can get into a few of those today would be both of our mothers, actually. So both of our moms, unfortunately, passed away well before this shit happened. And it was a lot of them not wanting to deal with the doctors and doing unsafe things by changing their medications or not wanting to seek help when they need to. My mom specifically, the last 25 years of her life was struggling with a lot of things and not wanting to see providers because they always had bad news or were guessing. You can never get her a resolution. So one of the things that happened is towards the end, she ended up having what looked like almost Bell's palsy. She was losing control of the left side of her face, started to get droopy and nervous, and then she started losing control. And she let this go on for weeks because she didn't want to see doctors. She was nervous about how this could change her life. Ended up going to the ER, being seen. They did scans on her. And when they did some of the scans, they did some CT scans on her head, wondering if there was something neurological going on, the brain bleed. And they found several spots. The doctor, when he was talking to us when she was in recovery, was saying that she had several mini strokes, 7 plus, from what they found when they showed us the image. Unfortunately, my mom passed away not long after, and when she did, and we had the autopsy done, because the autopsies tend to reveal so much information about cause of death and what was going on. The doctor who performed the autopsy called me and decided to tell me all of his findings before the notes or anything was released. Said he was very sad with the results and how, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little choked up here. He was very sad to deliver the news to me because my mother's organs were in good condition. So something else was going on with her. And when he performed the examination of her brain, found 0 signs of a stroke. So once again, she was misdiagnosed, and with that misdiagnosis, she didn't want to see another doctor. She had a CDL was scared to have any of this reported, to have any of this in medical record. She was worried about her livelihood. And this goes back to the unsafe practices. So it's just difficult to articulate some of it and the path that not only we're dealing with, but our other family members have as well.
Yeah, and while our moms both had incredibly rare, like autoimmune and issues with their immune system, there's a lot of similarities between the two of them because like their conditions were different. But my mom was sick for the last 12 years of her life, and she went to I don't even know how many doctors. She was told it was all in her head, and I'd be at home with her as a child and watching her like struggle or sometimes not even be able to get out of bed. Her face would swell, her eyes would swell. I remember going to the hospital with her and having doctors dismiss her, or because they didn't know what to do, not do anything. Like, maybe run some tests or something, but that was it. They would just throw more prednisone at her, which...
My mom as well, prednisone, prednisone, prednisone.
Yep, that's where I'm at right now, too, even post-transplant, still on prednisone. But...
My mom, we tried to fuse her spine together.
Oh, my gosh. That's my mom actually had that done to her neck. I'm like so shocked, but my mom had that done to her neck.
Yeah. At one point, because of the pain, we'll do a whole episode afterwards on this, but she had a lot of pain and problems and had lost control of her hands and part of her legs with the numbness. They suggested fusing certain sections of her spine so that she would lose some mobility but still have the rest, and that was the point.
Oh my God.
Help preserve.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, my mom, I remember one of her doctors here in Connecticut had diagnosed her with her condition, and it's a very rare condition called hypocomplementic urticarial vasculitis syndrome. And then the rest of her doctors at Yale said that wasn't the right diagnosis and that this doctor was wrong. He was a rheumatologist, an independent rheumatologist from Yale, or outside of Yale. And my mom took his information and went down to Jacksonville, Florida, to the Mayo Clinic, and spent a week down there with my dad, and they came to the same conclusion that she had hypocomplementic urticarial vasculitis syndrome. And that came with its own set of meds and treatment. And I remember her telling my sister and I that she would rather be on a dangerous medication that could shorten her lifespan if it meant that she would have a better life than if she was on something else that was going to allow this pain and everything else she had going on, and to have that drawn out over a long period of time. And unfortunately, my mom passed away suddenly at 50, when I was 18. And that's hard to wrap your head around. And then losing Dan's mom when she was 53, also incredibly suddenly, was like awful. It just plays into our own diagnostic odyssey with myself and then our kids, and watching both of our moms go through this and pass away at such a young age. It's it gets scary when you start to think about your own children and what we have going on. And I remember your mom being concerned that what she had and what I had was genetic, and I remember our doctors telling us that it wasn't.
Oh yeah, they told us all along we were all set.
Told us up and down that it was environmental, or it must have been something else, and that they wouldn't even do genetic testing. And lo and behold, both situations are genetic.
Yeah. So, like I said, we'll go into a deep dive with those episodes later on. We have more that we can cover today, though.
I know, I get so jittery. You get choked up, I get jittery talking about some of the stuff. Mm-hmm. And
no, go ahead.
With our daughter, we had a doctor tell us that, because with familial Mediterranean fever, you have recurrent fevers, and with some of this other stuff, you have fevers all the time. And he told us if we didn't go looking for fevers, then we wouldn't find them.
Right. We were trying to get an explanation to why the daughter was constantly running high fevers. I found this. She would just be perfectly fine one day, and the next day, out of nowhere, no other symptoms, nothing to explain. And she'd be running a fever of 101 or 102. And
all the way up to 105.
Yeah.
Where she was hallucinating and delirious and stuff, and we'd take her into the hospital, and there'd be times that they would take the temperature to be at 104.5, and the alarm bells for sepsis and all these other crazy things are going off. And it was, thank God it was never that. Yeah. But being told not to look for something and you won't find it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And a lot of doctors that were dismissing us or pushing us out of their practices, if we had listened to them, we'd have one less child. And without
Absolutely.
her and the roadmap that she laid out and all the research that we've done because of her, we would have never got to the solution of doing it. And
Yep.
the doctors were saying her life expectancy was less than 5 years at that point when we were going through all of this with Adam. So a lot to kind of mull over why it's important to think about sequence and how they fit into this whole medical universe and how complicated it really is. So
Yeah, and it's crazy because like had we, given up or listened to some of these doctors, because I can't even tell you how many doctors like wouldn't see us. I mean, even in the past year, right before transplant, I lost my primary care that I've had for 10 years because she told me I was too complicated for her and that she wasn't doing anything for me and kind of just washed her hands of me. And that's frustrating because like you need a primary care for so many things to get referrals for things for regular, maintenance, but regular appointments for yourself.
it is maintenance.
Yeah. And it's crazy. And had we given up, I probably wouldn't be here, and we for sure would not have Catalina because without the medical intervention that she needed, she absolutely would have died. And if we had just dealt with those problems at home, how some people do when you end up with medical burnout, things would look a lot different for us right now. And like that's one reason why we did start this podcast too, is to help give other people hope about, keep fighting. It's not easy, but when
Yeah, there's others like you. There's other people out there that are suffering. You don't need to suffer in silence. It's better to come together as a community or reach out. There's plenty of groups on Facebook and stuff. Social media has given us such a platform to speak out about this and find others. And even through the short time we've been doing this, we've had so many people reach out, asking questions about how our care went, where we went, how we fought to get the answers we did, and it's providing help. We've gotten so much positive feedback from people either thanking us for saying, hey, I lost my kid early or lost this family member early. I wish I found you guys sooner and understood how to do this better. And by no means are we experts. We're just out here reaching out and trying to build this foundation for others to get out here so we don't have to incur these hardships alone, because a pack of zebras is plenty strong and we can do it together.
Yep. So alone we are rare, but together we are strong. And that is the slogan for like specifically the Immune Deficiency Foundation and stuff, and being zebras. But zebras is really an all-encompassing, like, undiagnosed people, and not just rare diseases, but like less common things that you just don't think about. And if there's anything that you guys would like us to do an episode or talk about, comment or message, because like we have a lot of content that we're going to go through, but we would love to talk about specific things if there's stuff out there that you guys want to hear.
Yeah, so I think that wraps it up for us today. So thank you for watching.
And like, share, subscribe. You guys sharing this has been huge for us and getting the word out, and continue to fight with us.
Thank you, everyone.